you're somebody who cares about the future on this planet and you're humble before science, then you have to recognize we're on a very unsustainable path.
Directly Affected, a new documentary that examines the opposition to the Kinder Morgan pipeline expansion. Our guest this morning, Zack, the filmmaker, and of course Tzeporah, a very well-known environmental activist. I thought we could start with you. Can you set the stage for us about, really what's at stake with the pipeline?
Well, this pipeline is a very dramatic expansion. The proposal would mean a 7-fold increase in oil tankers right through Burrard Inlet. So the pipeline is proposed to go from the Alberta tar sands straight through to Vancouver. And that dramatic an expansion has a number of impacts. It would mean expanding the size of the oil sands and therefore have significant climate impacts. But there's also huge risks of oil spills. There's safety issues with the expansion of the tank farm. In the last week, I've met a number of Burnaby residents who are really concerned because the fire marshal in Burnaby is opposing this expansion and has said to Burnaby residents, if this goes through, we can't keep you safe. The tank farm would be literally 300 meters from schools. And for the Tsleil-Waututh First Nations and the Squamish First Nations, this is a pipeline that they oppose. This is a government, the Trudeau government, that promised reconciliation and a new relationship with First Nations. And the pipeline threatens their way of life. They're already seeing such huge impacts from the existing pipeline and tankers that go through their territory. So there's everything from climate change to treaty rights to the potential of oil spills. And scientists have told us that just the sound from that increased tanker traffic could mean the extinction of our last surviving orca whale pods in this region.
Zack, while you were making your film, I know you heard so many stories from people who do oppose the pipeline. Was there one in particular that really made an impact on you?
Well, in working on this film for the last 4 years, I've traveled the entire length of the pipeline. And so I've seen from the source the way people are impacted up there, the way their lands and waters have been destroyed. It takes 3 to 4 barrels of fresh water to create 1 barrel of diluted bitumen. And then, so that's in Alberta, and then all the way into Vancouver. And Burnaby, we see that particularly, I think the tank farm in Burnaby is a massive source of concern because, again, the potential for there to be for the tanks the risk of the tanks to catch on fire, or the risk of the tank farm in the neighborhood is one that is I think that should be of concern to everyone. Because this is a highly toxic material, the diluted bitumen is a new type of material that's passing through this tank. And so when it spills, we're not quite sure where we know that it actually sinks in marine environments and that the diluent itself then enters into the air shed. And so people actually risk breathing in the air spill. In an oil spill, and I think this poses very serious health concerns for everyone in the neighborhood.
Well, this is obviously a really important issue to both of you, so important that you were willing to get arrested over it just over a week ago. Was it a decision to be arrested, and what were you doing that was crossing a line into being illegal?
Well, for me, from all that I've seen, the way that that laws have been changed in order to facilitate the building of this pipeline, I realized that I needed to step up and to take more bold action. And so I crossed into the injunction zone to send a message that although the Trudeau government has famously said that governments grant permits, but communities grant permission. And so I felt that this was the only way that I could communicate that I do not grant permission for this pipeline to be built on the land that I live on. And my concerns for the future and climate change, I think that it calls on all of us to actually create a massive amount of pressure to question whether or not we need to move forward with huge fossil fuel infrastructure projects when we know we have to transition to clean energy and reduce our carbon emissions.
So if you're curious right now about watching the documentary, there is an opportunity for Vancouverites to see it this weekend?
Yes, so we're going to be playing it at the Cultch on April 8th, and that'll be a fantastic fantastic event. It starts at 7 o'clock.
Look at you light up when you hear
and, yeah, well, it's been 4 years in the making.
Right? Yes.
And then we're also, so that's going to be a fantastic event because we have a lot of talent coming in, Canadian actors, environmentalists, people who are concerned about this pipeline and want to learn more. And then we also have an opportunity. It's going to be playing on Earth Day at the Rio Theatre, and I know you did a bit at the Rio Theatre earlier on the program today. And so there's going to be 2 opportunities in Vancouver, and there's a number in other places in BC. So at directlyaffected.ca you can find out about screenings.
And